I'd like to greet everybody viewing us a pleasant morning or evening. Recorded kasi ito. So, it will be played in appropriate time. It would depend on the management ng RTV. We are here again to make a report and to explain further regarding the circumstances of the acquisition, the procurement of medical supplies sa Parmalin. Napipilitan ho kami. We are forced to come up with an explanation to the public simply because of the innuendos and the outright accusation of Gordon, the despot, regarding how he got hold of the things that we needed to fight COVID. Now, I'm happy that the lower house of Congress, the House of Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability hearing, the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability hearing of the House of Representatives initiated a congressional inquiry into the alleged misuse of funds of certain agencies for the government's COVID-19 response. That was the thing that was going in the minds of the people, so that it prompted us to come up with how it was bought and how the persons procured them, followed the law, and all of these things. Alam mo, we could not get a complete and a thorough answer from the Senate because it is presided over by a despot, Gordon, who does the talking. He cannot help but talk, and he interrupts the resource persons with questions and cutting them off and providing the answer, so that the answer of the resource person could never have been complete. Hindi kompleto kasi binabara niya, to the point that the witness appears to be following his theory na may corruption. Pabalik-balik ta rin niya eh. It does not allow any explanation, or this resource person would elaborate on how the different events of the transaction took place. Mabuti na lang ang House, and I was informed that the House conducted the hearing and allowed the witnesses to talk. Kasi si COA, ang chairman, doon sa Senate mismo, hindi makapagsalita ng diretso. Gordon cuts him. If the statement is favorable to yung person na inaakusahan niya, he is already in the inquest stage. He's no longer getting answers from resource person. Ang hinahanap ni Gordon, yung theory that would suit him. And it has become a inquest hearing, not a Senate hearing. And as if the resource persons, or some of them, not all, are already guilty. Kung magsalita naman ang COA, and even the chairman himself, kinakat ni Gordon. But in the House, as I was informed, everybody were given a chance. Those who were called to testify uh, uh, were able to complete their story, and it is a more sane inquiry because ang mga witnesses nakapagsalita ng kanilang totoong sagot. So, that the witness this morning was an inquiry devoid of rudeness, bias, and partiality perpetrated by Gordon. It was an investigation that was not conclusive and based on facts as provided by the source person. Wala pa ang ano. The witnesses will be called. I think those who were already called in the Senate might be called by the House to testify again. So that is good because in the House, they will be given every chance to talk. It was fair, yung kanina daw, the witnesses were heard and allowed to explain. There was no badgering and no bullying. No one argued with the resource person. Wala si Gordon. Wala ang lower house, walang Gordon eh. Gordon is one of a kind. Kaya sabi ko, if the Filipino people nakikinig kayo, dump the guy, he's a fraud. This is how an inquiry should be, far from the witch hunt being undertaken by the Senate. You know, I'd like to address myself to the other senators. It might seem that we are egging for a fight with you. We are not. Ang problema dyan, yung Blue Ribbon, ang chairman, is a despot. He does not allow anybody to answer, and he cuts the testimony of even the COA. Nakinig man ako. Ano klaseng tao ito? And he talks and talks and talks. He cannot help but open his mouth. He is a pathological storyteller, si Gordon. And, well, just as I said, I would like to conduct this inquiry because we need to know the truth. And ganun lang yan siya. Pa-English. Yung English mo, hindi naman naintindihan ng lahat. Kung mag-English ka, Filipino na English, maging English na slurred. Is slurred para kang lasing. So, what was established in the Congressional lower house, we go back to what I've been saying since the very start. And I will say this again for the benefit of those who cannot seem to comprehend and those who refuse to understand. I am addressing this statement to Gordon. There was no overpricing, which some senators are so desperately trying to establish. Everything was delivered. There was no ghost deliveries, as some senators are implying. Nakinig naman kayo sa COA, wala naman silang sinabi na overpricing. Wala naman sinabing ghost deliveries. But itong theories ng mga senador, yung iba, hindi lahat. Kaya sabi ko, we do not want to quarrel with you guys. But kung marindahan ninyo yung si Gordon, otherwise, we would come to a head. You know what I mean? Na kung makita ko na sumusobra na it's a power that is being used in a very abusive manner, I, as the head of the executive department, can also just ignore. I do not want to ignore the Senate. But kung ganun hindi ninyo si Gordon, talagang I said, it will come to a head and there will be trouble. Because tawagin ninyo, paulit-ulit na naman. For example, like, sa bagay, naumpisahan na kasi, Secretary Duque, I would allow him to complete his story. Anyway, nakatestify naman siya sa House. Just to allow Gordon to show more of his stupidity. Kaya pabalik ko sila, sabihin lang ninyo, just tell the plain truth. Kay Gordon, kung putol-putulin kayo, i-connect ninyo ulit. But at least sa House, you'd have a fair chance of getting your story being heard with courtesy and with no pathological legislator with bullying you to no end. There were no overpricing, which some senators are so desperately trying to establish. Yeah. Everything was delivered. There was no ghost deliveries, as some senators are also implying. I hope that the next time there's a statement like that, you better make clear kung may kasali kayo dito. Kasi, alam mo, may insultuhin ko kayo. Kaya mga bobo na walang nalaman kung hindi mag-grandstanding. Wala naman talaga kayong makuha. Even if we continue to hear this case until kingdom come, I do not think that you will get anything there except that you want to dance before the power of public opinion so that you'll be noticed and maybe try to impress the voters in this coming election that you're an intellectual, that you are a ghostbuster sa mga katiwalian sa gobyerno. Meron sa gobyerno, hindi ko magsabi, hindi wala. I would be lying if I say there is no corruption. In some other offices now, agencies, department, there are. But I'm making you this guarantee. Yung cabinet members ko, wala yan. Puro malinis yan. Ang mga senador meron. Gordon is one. Pag I am ordering the Solgen, si Calida, to write Aguinaldo to write a letter and ask Aguinaldo to conduct immediately an audit dyan sa Red Cross na yan. Hinintay ko lang, the next step would be really the letter to be delivered to the COA by Solicitor General Calida regarding my request to audit the Red Cross. And tignan mo si Calida, hear him now and try to come up with your opinion kay mga Filipino kung ano ang nangyayari sa hearing sa lower house.
Magandang umaga po, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the committee. Ang masasabi ko lang po is wala po sa report ng PSDBM ang statement na may overpricing po. There's no statement to that. The observations related more to inventory management than overpricing. So hindi po tama na sabihin ang COA nagsabi na may overprice kasi wala pong sinabi yon doon sa report. Anyway, nandito po kami to be able to provide clarification to any of the questions the committee members may ask. Magandang umaga po.
Tama na yun. Ayun. Yun si COA. That was the chairman of the Commission on Audit. Sinabi niya, ano pa bang gusto ninyo? Senators, I'm asking you. He said, I do not want a fight with you. But what else do you want? Yung Parmalen, yung Parmalen, bahala kayo. You can slaughter everybody there, whatever you want. Kami sa gobyerno, we ordered. There was delivery. Then we paid. Tapos na kami. Insofar as we are concerned, tapos na kami dyan sa ano. Yung Parmalen to inquire into the corporate identity of, sinabi na sa inyo, it was succinctly stated by Senator Villar. Sabi ni ma'am, ganun talaga, negosyante sila, they need materials. Ang andito lang yung mga ente lang yan. Gano, that is the way how the Chinese conduct the business. It is not like the foreign. Doon, word of honor lang yan. O, kailangan mo nito, sige, padala ka. May tao lang sila dito. But I said, that was the reason why I went to China. Yan si Michael Yang, hindi yan fugitive. Nagninegosyo nga yan. Malaki na ang negosyo niyan sa Davao. Has been there for 20 years. Kung anong business opportunity niya nila, yan sila, yung kasama niya sa Lincoln, maghanap ng negosyo at magkuha ng deal. Sa kanila, tatawag lang sila doon sa kung saan nila makuha. Natural, may magsabi na kumita, yung mga in-check, akala ko ba, tinawag natin sila to invest. At sino namang gago, in-check o Pilipino o Hapon, namang negosyo ng talo? Naturalmente, meron talagang profit yan. Yan ang ipasok sa ulo ni Gordon. Anak ng katanda-tanda mo na eh. The circus started with some incomprehensible reason. The senator thought that there were irregularities in the COA audit report of the Department of Health. Many times, the DOH Secretary Duque said they were already addressing the deficiencies in the said COA audit report. That deficiencies pertain to some inventory matters of the supplies, hindi yung about deficiency of pera. Pero alam mo na, there's a saying, men judge best when they condemn. Ang pinaka-ano ng tao, lalo na kung maghusga siya ng kasamaan ng kapwa niya tao. Men judge best when they condemn. Ganun yan si Despot. Tapos sabi niya, may narinig pa ako, sabi niya na natatakot na ako. Sus Mariosep Gordon. Hindi mo ako matakot not in a million years. Hindi ako kawatan kagaya mo. Wala akong Red Cross na ginagatasan araw-araw. It's not my style. May mga ano ako sa buhay. Pero pera, 35 years ago, mag-40 years ako sa gobyerno. Magnakaw pa ako ngayon lang. Gago ka ba? Di noon pa. Ikaw, meron kang nakaparking dyan. Yan, pinarking mo yung milking cow, putang ina yung Red Cross na yan. Ito, let's ka, gago ka. Ngayon, gusto niyong mga senador, if you take offense because of my statement, di bahala kayo. The next time na but gusto ko ito sila, Secretary Doke, pati si Secretary Galvez, to finish their story. Umpisahan na eh. Hindi naman pwede ito. No? Kung may tanong pa sila, they should go back there too. Pero, yung iba, and in the future, I'm sorry, I will be the one who will say, go to Congress to testify or to the Senate. Or, do not go to Congress. At sabihin mo, kinontempt ka, ako bahala. I will not allow anybody to arrest you. That is a guarantee. If that does not sit well with the senators, I'm sorry. You started this whole thing. It was not me. You can be further enlightened by this COA audit report. So, makinig na lang tayo sa COA supervising auditor for sa kanilang report sa procurement goods. I'd like to, if there's a clip regarding, if there's a clip that contains the COA supervising auditor, Rodora Urugay, can they show it to the public?
Sir, as far as the DOH audit report is concerned, there are no observations on overpricing in the DOH annual audit report, sir.
Yun nga, kaya nagpapasalamat kami, nauunawaan namin. Ang totoo niya, nasasakyan namin ang paliwanag mula pa kanina. Ganun lang pala kasimple. At ngayon, tinindigan na kayo, in-affirm na, kinonfirm na ng COA, bakit nagpapatuloy pa yung Senate Blue Ribbon Committee sa kanilang mga pagdinig? Ang ibig lamang sabihin, Madam Auditor, aminin mo o hindi po pinaniniwalaan ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee ang admissions o ang inyong COA report.
So yun. Na ito ngayon, let us focus. If you want the story to be complete, makinig tayo sa discussion ni Attorney Warren Yung, former PS-DBM Director. So siya ang maka-explain sa atin kung paano ito, ano ang protocol, ano ang requirements, and what are the things that they had to do before they can order or receive goods that are procured by government. Yung may clip kayo kay Attorney Warren Yung PSDBM Director talaga.
Okay. So, first slide, I call on relevant agencies to ensure speedy delivery of basic medical supplies, equipment to health facilities, from the approval, importation, and to the delivery. Everything must go smoothly to make sure that we do not waste time. So that was the marching order of the President. He repeated this in the President's talk to the people dated March 24, 2020. Balikan po natin ang sitwasyon ng mga unang buwan ng pandemya. So these are newspaper clippings. You don't have, we presented it here so that you will have better complex po. March 31, 2020, CNN Philippines staff, medical group cites protective equipment lack for death of 17 doctors. Like wartime, Philippine doctors overwhelmed by coronavirus deluge. COVID-19 cases among healthcare workers now at 1,245. Death toll at 27. April 27, 2020. We will have nothing. Lung Center of the Philippines, please for PPE suits and gowns amid depleting supplies. March 23 po, 2020. Coronavirus in the Philippines, health workers, protective equipment, fear, exposure. kulang ang supply ng mga personal protective equipment sa buong mundo. Coronavirus sparks a war for masks as accusations fly. So on this one, there was accusations that other nations are getting the supplies intended for another country. Protective equipment costs increased over 1,000% amid competition and surge in demand. Kailangan nating makahanap ng supply. So these are some of the pictures. The Southern Philippines Medical Association is seeking for donations. We are asking for masks.
Sir, Sir Warren, naka-mute po kayo, hindi kayo marinig. Pwedeng unmute. Wala pong audio from Sir Warren.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yes, please
Issue
repeat.
number 1. Overpriced ba talaga ang face mask at PPE na binibili ng gobyerno noong 2020? Hindi po. Face mask, dahil tumaas ang presyo ng face mask noong umpisa po ng pandemya, naglagay po ang DOH ng price freeze at suggested retail price. So price freeze was placed at 28 pesos. Halaga po ng binili ng gobyerno ay 27.72. Some were actually lower. So as you can see in the slides, in March 16, 2020, the price freeze was at 28 pesos. In August 10, 2020, the price freeze was still at 28 pesos. Totoo bang merong face mask na may halagang 13.50 na kayang isupply ng mga local manufacturers noong Abril 2020? Wala po. Noong April 2020, nagkakahirapan po tayo sa supply. Yung pong supply natin sa ating awardee na si EMS, it was only delivered in June 1. The contract was entered in April 27, 2020. And then the first delivery was supposed to be scheduled in May 25. That's about more than a month. And then the actual delivery was done on June 1, 2020. So as you can see, it was not immediately available and we gave them time to produce. Presyo ng personal protective equipment. So, ito po, pinapakita po natin yung mga purchase orders nung presyo ng wala pang pandemya. So, September 28, 2015, the price is at 3,500 each. June 2016, the price is at 3,864 each. Nung may pandemya na po, at around May 2020, we procured 1,910 pesos each. We are not saying that the 3,500 and 3,800 are overpriced. What we are saying is that this forms part of the historical record, historical data of DOH, and then this was cleared by COA. If this is not overpriced, and this was cleared, with more reason po, ang 1,910 procured during pandemic, procured using emergency procurement, is reasonable. So ang laman po ng bawat PPE set. So nung June 2016, 3,800 po ang presyo, meron po tayong 8-piece set. So goggles, glove, shoe covers, coverall, surgical gown, and 95 surgical mask at head cap. Nung May 8 po, 1,910, 90 set po ito, face shield, gloves, shoe cover, coverall, gown, and 95, surgical mask, head cover, and apron. Ito po ang halimbawa ng mga PPE sets. I'll go over this quickly lang po since I'm under time constraints. Issue number 2. Dumaan ba sa tamang proseso ng emergency procurement ang pagbili ng mask at PPE. Opo, sumunod po ang PSDBM sa proseso ng emergency procurement under Bayanihan 1. So what is Bayanihan 1? This is the Bayanihan 1. You can immediately Google this. Section 4A provides that undertake procurement of the following items as the need arises in the most expeditious manner as exemptions from the provisions of Republic Act number 9184 or the Government Procurement Reform Act and other relevant laws. So these are the goods enumerated. In case of doubt, you go to section 7. Yun lang po ang dalawang provisions ni Bayanihan 1 when it comes to procurement of goods. So this one, section 53 under RA 9184. This is included in the exemption from Bayanihan 1 because it states exemptions from Republic Act 9184 and other relevant laws. So na-exempt na po tayo kahit sa alternative mode of procurement na negotiated procurement under RA 9184. So this is the issuance of a state of public emergency. I will skip this one. Paano napili ang mga suppliers? Paano po napili ang mga suppliers under negotiated procurement or under Bayanihan 1? So sagot, pinili po natin under Bayanihan 1, we were allowed to directly negotiate. But we still underwent market price analysis. So pinili po natin yung mga kayang makapag-deliver agad or at least at the nearest possible time, pinakamababang presyo base sa mga quotation na nakuha sa mga suppliers na kayang mag-deliver sa tamang oras, and dapat po compliant po sa technical specifications ng DOH. Hindi naman po si PSDBM ang nagsasabi kung ano ang bibilihin at kung ano ang technical specifications. Nakalagay po yan sa purchase request ng ating end user. So it has to be compliant. Ano ang hinihingi ng PSDBM? So we're asking for mayor's permit, ITR, price quotation, omnibus warrant statement, and compliance to the technical specifications. Kahit po hindi nakasaad sa Bayanihan 1 na mag-market survey, ang PSDBM naglagay po talaga ng layer na we do market price analysis. So the first level, for the first level of ensuring that there's no overpricing, we take into consideration po yung ATR ng ating end user. Si DOH po ito. So nakalagay po sa purchase request ang items na bibilihin, quantity, unit cost, and the total cost. Hindi po tayo pwede sumobra doon. It presupposes also that our end user already did their canvassing and taken into consideration previous purchases. Si PSDBM, ang second tier po natin, we will do market price analysis to ensure that the price set is reasonable or if we can find lower price. And then we do the direct negotiation as the third tier. In here, we try to get terms favorable, more favorable to the government. Like baka pwede pababaan or usually kasi at the time they were asking for immediate cash payment, we say that we cannot do that. So you have to bear with the government. Price quotations ng PPE na pinadala sa PSDBM noon. So ito mga yung mga pinadala, 1,975, 90 set, 1,910, 90 set. Meron ding 2,873, 80 set. We did not procure that. We cannot go above the budget of DOH, which is 2,000 pesos. So we have a slide here on the statement of our good chairman, COA chairman, Michael Aguinaldo, on September 7 during the Senate hearing. So Bayanihan Act po kasi, yung Bayanihan 1, the President was empowered to actually do away with RA 9184. The only requirement was yung advantageous to the government, yung pag-procure. Kailangan ba?
Sir, stop muna, sir. Sir Warren. Before
Yes,
we continue, I'd like the COA. Can you put the previous slide, itong COA? COA Chairman Michael Aguinaldo, are you present, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr.
Do you
Chairman.
do you confirm the slide in front of you that did you say that this quote, September 7 quote?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman, that I think it's a faithful reproduction of the statement I made.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Please proceed, Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there was a question raised kung kailangan bang mag-submit ng PSDBM ng dokumentong nagpapakita ng financial capacity, SEC GIS, General Information Sheet, at malinis na record ng directors at incorporators sa isang emergency procurement. Hindi po. Even under negotiated procurement in emergency cases po, the only documents asked are the mayor's permit, ITR, omnibus sworn statement, and then compliance to technical specifications. And I must add po, even in regular competitive bidding, which can take as long as 136 days, the general information sheet is not required po. Tapos, yun pong pupuntahan po ang official address ng mga corporation, wala rin po yun kahit po sa ating regular competitive bidding requirements under Republic Act 9184. Issue number 3, naprotektahan ba ng PSDBM ang interes ng gobyerno at ng bayan sa pagbili ng face mask at PPE? Opo, dahil nagbayad lang po tayo sa suppliers, pagkatapos po ma-deliver, ma-inspect at ma-accept ang mga items. So actually, this is what then Yusek Lloyd Lau was saying. This is the pinaka-safeguard po natin. Under emergency cases po kasi, the factor is you have to address the emergency. Procure immediately, and then so that we can address po yung pangangailangan, emergency. If they cannot deliver, then we do not pay. So that's how we protect the government's money po. So surgical mask suppliers. So dito po pinapakita po yung various po natin na suppliers at kung magkano po nabili at pinapakita po na delivered po talaga sila. Wala pong ghost purchases. So as you can see, iba-iba po yung presyo noong simula po ng pandemya. May nabili po tayong mura, may nabili po tayong mahal. Depende po yan sa supplier. But we cannot afford not to buy because we are trying to save lives. So we cannot say that just because it's nearer to 28 pesos, we will not procure that and just let you get exposed to the virus. Hindi po pwede yon. Ang atin pong ginagawa is to address the emergency and save lives. So as you can see, EMS, it began delivering in June 1, 2020 po. Yan po yung ating 1350. Complete deliveries po. This is still EMS. Ito po yung mga deliveries niya, quantity and date delivered. So, this is again a online article. First batch of complete PPE sets from China arrives April 1, 2020. PH carriers add wings to PPE deliveries to get 170 sets, China. So tinap natin kahit ang Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific, OCD distributes additional DOH procured PPEs to hospitals. So this data came from, I think, the OCD. It shows how the PPEs were distributed. I think they can better answer these questions. Total distributed PPEs as of August 25, 2020, source OCD. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, those are the quantities distributed to the different regions. Thank you very much.
Attorney Leong, if you are listening to us, thank you for your... allow me to define further the persona of Gordon. Ito si Gordon, in 2017, he was sa Senate Blue Ribbon Committee who filed a resolution to investigate this 6.4 billion worth of shabu shipment from China, wherein Eduardo Asierto was involved. Siya mismo sa Senate niya sa Blue Ribbon. Then in 2018, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee recommended for the DOJ and Ombudsman to further investigate Eduardo Asierto for multiple law violations. Ito siya tabi ko si Asierto was connected with a unit that had something to do with drugs. Ito yung sinasabi ko na pinoprogram nila yung mga foreigners, karamihan dyan Chinese. Tapos sulihin kunyari nila, sabi nila in possession or connected with a syndicate in the trafficking of drugs. Ito ang style nila. Tapos sulihin, hingian ng pera, i-release. Pero marami ring mga biktima noon. There were a lot of victims that were invited for questioning who never reappeared again. Ibig sabihin, namatay. And Asierto was one of the players there. Kagaya noong Korean na sinaksak sa loob ng krami mismo. Ayun, sila laro nila yon. Kanila yon. And Asierto was a player in that. Ngayon, dalawang beses nila in-investigate si Asierto. Ngayon, tinawag niya as a witness for the Senate Committee noong sa drugs ni Michael Yang pati yung si Alan Lim. You know why? Because noon pinoprogram, hindi man alam ni Gordon, si Gordon Bogok walang nalaman. Basta kung ano lang papel na sa harap niya, yun na yun. And that's it. He does not have any connections at all. Wala sa bagay. Ako mayor tapos naging presidente, mas marami akong briefing being present when these things were sorted out in the past. Yung siyang, pati si Alan, pinoprogram nga nila yon. Kaya nagreklamo kasi may tinatanong na raw siya, uninvited, hindi siya sumama. Tapos, sabi ko, sige, tignan ko. Kinalkal ko yung report. To justify why he was being invited. At nakita ko doon, lahat ng derogatory evidence or proof, galing lahat kay Asierto. Siya lang, walang report galing Nika, galing report. Dapat at some time, talaga yan, mag-abot yan. In one, makita mo one picture of how trafficking is being done. Pero ito si Asierto, siya lang. Kaya nagsuspetsa na ako. Sabi ko, Michael, pati ikaw, pinoprogram kayo. Be careful. Sabi ko, pinoprogram lang kayo ng, hindi ko sinabi yung pangalan niya. Sabi ko lang may mga pulis dyan na gago. Ito yung mga pulis na kinidnap yung Korean tapos. You know, when I was in Korea, I was asked, hindi ko malaman kung anong isagot ko talaga. Sa hiya ko na itong kalukuhan nila. Kalukuhan. Alam mo, sabi nga ni ito mga graduate ito ng PMA. Pero ito yung mga factory defect. Ito yung mga that is one big organization. Diyan natin kinukuha yung the finest and the brightest na mga sundalo natin, opisyal. Parang factory yan, pero may pumasok ito ng mga asyerto at yung ibang mga gagong police officer. Ito yung mga factory defect. Nakalusot kaya puro kriminal. Ito mga tao na ito, wala itong ginawa noon pa in their civilian life. Ano na talaga ito? They were not imbued with the sense of patriotism by being there sa academy. Ito yung naghahanap ng ganito yan Noon, ewan ko ngayon. Sabagay, nandyan si Sir Anyo. Tanong yan, saan ba magka-pera dito? Saan assignment? The most lucrative assignment is the one where they can get the money. Itong pulis. Kaya tandaan ninyo pagka iniimbestiga na kayo tapos dinayaya kayo ng huwag kayong sumama, palamin ninyo na you are being invited there and you want your lawyer to be present. Huwag kayong basta-bastang sumama. Kasi ang mangyari sa iyo, what will happen to you would be but the same fate that the others, yung kagaya nung Koreano, was kidnapped, was killed, tapos dinala doon sa punerarya, binuhusan ng asido. Kaya nawala. Pero by and large, ang police natin, it's a big, huge organization. Karamihan dyan, okay. Yung mga asong nasa ngayon, nasa pwesto at one time or another, they are not from Davao, actually. They were assigned in Davao City. Kaya nagkakilala ko yung mga yan. Yung iba talagang kasi bato, true blue, full-blooded, Visayan. So, itong ulitin ko, 2017 pati 2018, inimbestigahan nila ito si Eduardo Asierto. Blue Ribbon Committee, si Gordon. Ngayon, present time, fast forward tayo, ginagawa ng gagong Gordon na ito, si Asierto na isang gago rin. Kaya dyan hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit ganon si Gordon. Using a perjured witness. Itong si Francisco. Senator Gordon, it is a crime when you use a perjured witness in an official proceedings in Congress or in government. Alam mo yan, abogado ka. So much about Gordon. Itong si Asierto, putang, nag-testify dyan sa yan yung sa YouTube ba yun? Ang masakit sa akin, ulol kam, butong inulitse ka. Nag-smuggle ka ng 1,000 AK-47 at binigay mo doon sa NPA. So, it comes late but okay lang. 19 COVID concerns, si Secretary Duque, Secretary Galvez, Secretary Anyo, I think they have something to report to the people. Itong atin ito, ang ating audience is the nation. Yung audience nila sa Congress, kaya yung mga tao doon, ang aking audience, ang Pilipino. So makinig kayo mabuti kasi sinabi ko, foremost is malaman ninyo kung saan ang pera ng gobyerno napunta at anong ginastusan. Yan ang ano. Okay, kung maniwala kayo kay Gordon, di bahala na. Ayan, nung unong kapo pa yan, yumaman ng husto yan. He was the king of... Kaya nung pinaalis siya ni Ramos, hinahabol niya si Ramos kasi gusto niyang pa-reinstate. Fixed term kasi ang kuwan. Talagang there was a footage doon na hinahabol niya si tumatakbo sa... was trying to catch the attention of the president. I think the president was at the time mobiling. And he was standing sa one of the corners there. He tried to chase the presidential entourage kasi gusto niya noon magpa-retain. Gusto niya hawakan ang Subic. Ngayon, wala na ang Subic sa kanya pero may Red Cross naman siya. Alam mo ito. May I remind the good senator that alam mo yung corruption mo dyan sa Red Cross. Buhay ang nilalaro mo dyan. As a matter, ang kapital mo nga, dugo. hindi ka na nahiya dyan sa Ang laro mo dyan, buhay. Ang kapital mo, dugo. Yung mga contribution dyan, just a long way really to buy. Alam mo, mahilig kayo magpa-bloodletting. Isang batalyon na pulis, isang batalyon na army. Tapos sa mga tao dyan, kung kailangan, bumili. Ang mahirap dyan o mayaman gusto ng dugo sa Red Cross, nagbabayad. Isa naman yung mga dugo na kinuha mo dyan sa mga sundalo, pati pulis, pati yung mga civilian. I'm just trying to reconcile what's the... Magbayad ka. Paski mahirap ka. Ito yung purpose nga magpa-bloodletting ka is may maibigay kang tulong sa kapwa mo Pilipino. And yet, when somebody is sick, whether rich and poor, if he wants blood, kaya ko lang kung makausap ko si Dracula, ipakagat kita natutulog, kunin lahat dugo mo. Marami kang dugo, tanang katawan mo, bilog na bilog, puro dugo yan. Ako galit ako sa iyo, Gordon talaga. Totoo lang. Alam mo bakit? Hindi, kilala mo ako all these years. Hindi mo ako nakita nagbabastos na tao. Nakikita mo ninyo the way I behave. I defer to you. Pero pag nawala ang respeto ko sa tao, anak ka ng putang inabantay ka, bababuin talaga kita hanggang mamatay ka o hanggang harapin mo ako tapos papiliin kita kung ano ang gusto mo. Yan. Nawala na ang respeto ko sa iyo. Sinasabi ko sa taong Pilipino, huwag din yung buto, yung buang na yan. Kaya yan lang, umalis na yung Amerikano, naiwan yan siya. We now Secretary